Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host Fondue. In this week's episode, we're talking crimes against cheese. We hear about cheese theft. We hear about cheese vandalism.
Oh no.
We hear how cheese was used to solve crimes.
Wow.
And we hear a very cheesy joke.
Yeah, we do.
Stay tuned for episode number 23 of Just Cheesy, the podcast. True crime episode. So, Cheesy, are you ready for our first ever True Crimes episode?
Yeah, I am. Wait for it. True crimes.
Wow, Cheesy, I have no words.
That was awesome.
Right. Well, now that you're ready for the true crimes, let's get started.
Okay.
Do you remember the cream cheese shortage?
Sure do.
Well, I knew it was a cyber attack, but now there's some details.
Ooh.
On the website called ccsipro.com, there's an article called Cyber Criminals Steal the Cheese.
Ooh.
So apparently the criminals created false invoices for more than $4 million worth of cream cheese.
Wow.
Apparently the cyber criminal group has origins in none other than Russia.
Of course.
The criminals sent about 800 tons of cream cheese to different processing companies where they accepted them as real orders.
Wow.
The processing companies started to question it when they had more product than they initially ordered.
Well, yeah.
The criminals didn't actually steal any money.
Really?
The people that analyzed the software that was installed on the Schreiber Foods computers said that the criminals were likely trying to basically get strategic company details for future cyber extortion purposes.
Oh no.
I'm afraid so. And apparently this isn't the only thing that Russia's up to.
Uh-oh.
According to an article in the mirror.co.uk by Liam Buckler, because of the invasion of the Ukraine, Moscow has been hit with a lot of sanctions.
Right.
And of course, thieves are capitalizing on all kinds of shortages.
Of course.
It appears that there are organized crime gangs for the secret Moscow market.
Ooh.
And they're apparently responsible for over 3,527 pounds of cheese.
Wow.
Worth about $23,000, and they were stolen from the Netherlands.
Wow.
But this isn't the first time that Russia got into the contraband cheese game.
Really?
Yeah. According to theatlantic.com, there's an article from 2015. There were a lot of sanctions against Russia in 2015 because of the annexation of Crimea in the Ukraine.
That's right.
So their government made counter sanctions and made it basically illegal to import cheese.
Not cool.
They went so far as using a bulldozer to destroy illegally imported cheese.
No way.
They also ordered foreign ham and fruits to be burned.
Oh, yeah, instead of eating it.
So the Russian criminals were actually smuggling in some ingredients for cheese production. They were selling cheese made with contraband and using counterfeit labels.
Really?
Yep, they were using locally produced cheese and trying to pass it off as luxury items imported from Europe.
Holy cow.
So speaking of luxury food, according to abc.net.au, in a 2017 article called Operation Wine and Cheese,
Okay.
gang behind luxury food thefts worth $250,000 busted by Italian police.
That's a long one.
The article says they stole about 16,000 bottles of fine wine and 168 wheels of Parmesan cheese.
No way.
According to the article, in the previous 3 years, they had $14 million worth of Parmesan cheese stolen.
Holy cow.
A single wheel of cheese can sell for more than $500.
Wow.
According to SmithsonianMag.com, in an article by Danny Lewis called How Italian Police Finally Busted Thieves for Nabbing $875,000 in Cheese,
Wow.
this article talks about the theft of 2,039 wheels of cheese.
Wow.
And that theft was worth $875,000.
Wow.
And the Parmesan cheese called Parmigiano Reggiano is only made in specific regions of Italy, so it's compared to champagne or Kobe beef.
Ooh la la.
I mean, this cheese is so expensive that they say in this article that some Italian banks will accept wheels of cheese as loan collateral.
Holy cow.
Wheels of Cheese, not a sponsor, but if they were, their ad would go right here. Apparently, thieves have also stolen a cheese slicer.
Ooh, What's that, about $5?
Oh no, not this slicer, Cheesy. More like $26,000.
What's it, made of gold?
According to culturecheesemag.com, the slicer belonged to the Amsterdam Cheese Museum.
Okay.
The slicer was a collaboration between Bosca, who is a Dutch cheeseware maker, and an Argentine jewelry designer, Rodrigo Atazu. The slicer has 220 distinct diamonds.
Holy cow.
So that's why it's so expensive. The museum is offering a reward, and that reward is a Bosca cheese gift basket and the world's largest commercially available fondue set, named Mr. Big Fondue.
Okay.
So apparently theft is not the only crime regarding cheese.
Really?
That's right, Cheesy. Apparently cheese slice throwing became a big thing on TikTok.
Of course.
At one point it began with a video showing someone throwing cheese at a baby.
At a baby?
Yep.
Wow.
It got over 7 million views and was apparently supposed to be funny.
Holy cow.
While distasteful, it wasn't considered a crime. According to the Elwood City Ledger, in an article called Cheesy Gang, Not the Sharpest Cheddar in the Dairy Case by Louise Carroll, the police showed up at her door and actually thought that people were throwing cheese at cars from her upstairs window.
No way.
She, of course, wasn't the culprit.
Who was?
Vandals.
Sure.
Nearby, there was a parking space that was just strewn with tons of little plastic wrappers.
Wow.
They made the assumption that people unwrapped the slice of cheese, rolled it into a ball, and then threw it at the passing cars.
That's bad.
And apparently, cheese slices are used in other types of vandalism.
Really?
In addition to babies and balling up cheese and throwing it at cars, the website motorbiscuit.com talks about this new vandalism and that people are actually leaving cheese slices on cars.
Why?
Now, according to Snopes.com, there has been a claim that the cheesing actually indicates that someone is about to become abducted.
What?
They seem to debunk the part of the claim about abduction.
Okay.
But it is true that people's cars are getting cheesed and that it can cause significant damage if left there too long.
Holy cow.
But according to globalnews.ca, in an article by Josh Elliott called Gouda Idea, police pull fingerprints off cheese slice in Texas mischief case. The Carrollton Police Department wrote on Facebook, and I quote, 1. Covering cars in cheese slices is apparently the new trend in criminal mischief. And 2. Cheese slices produce great fingerprints.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, they still have to identify the person through records, but at least the cheese has provided them with some clues.
Nice.
This isn't the first time cheese has helped solve a crime.
Really?
According to DiscoverMagazine.com, in 2013, there was an article called Flashback Friday, The Cheese Stands Alone as Evidence. 2 cases are discussed in the article.
Okay.
The first actually discusses saliva. I'm quoting from the article directly. It said, physical evidence in the form of a high-quality bite mark was discovered on a piece of yellow cheese found at the scene of a crime. The police froze it for 10 hours and then basically submitted that to a laboratory for testing. And they were able to swab for DNA.
Wow.
The second case wasn't talking about saliva, but the bite mark itself. They were able to compare a microscopic identification of bite marks to find a murderer.
Wow.
And apparently a picture of cheese was actually used to send a drug dealer to prison for 13 years.
How?
According to TheVerge.com, in an article called This Picture of Cheese Helped Send a Man to Prison for 13 Years, the criminal actually took a photo of himself holding a mature blue Stilton.
Yum.
It contained a clear image of his fingerprints.
Ah.
And that's ultimately what police used to analyze and identify him.
Good job, cheese.
Well, I think it's time for a joke.
Go for it.
What do you call a cheese that's sad?
No clue.
Blue cheese. Get it? Blue cheese?
That joke was pretty sad.
Nah, it was a little bit cheesy. Thanks for listening to episode number 23 of Just Cheesy, the podcast.
Thank you.
Join us next week for the last episode in this season, episode 24.
Stay cheesy, everybody.